Welcome to the Power of Music podcast. Brought to you by YAM International. Get ready to explore conversations with those making a difference through music.
Hello, and welcome to the Power of Music podcast, brought to you by JMI, Jeunesse Musicale International, the global network of NGOs that empowers young people through music across all boundaries. In this episode, we explore the impact of experiencing a quality live music performance as a child, highlighting the remarkable work of the YAM Committee. We delve into how a concert at sea can be a life-changing experience and emphasize the importance of exposing kids to a variety of musical genres and styles. Additionally, we discuss the value of pausing to imagine the world from the child's perspective. And of course, the power of music. My name is Ricardo, and today I'm joined by Noora Herranen. Noora is the Executive Director of Concert Centre Finland and the Chair of the YAM Committee. YAM, or Young Audiences Music, is an international platform for everyone working to bring live music to children and youth. As always, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate the podcast. We hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. First, can you share a bit about your journey into music and how you ended up at YAM?
Yeah, that's a good question. I sang in choirs as a child. I wasn't really enthusiastic about it. I didn't think I was going to be a musician or anything like that. I just liked the voices going together. And while growing up, I ended up working with children and arts in general. And then the singing part became more and more important to me. I started singing in a cappella groups and then performing with the a cappella groups a bit more. And then when I was studying to be a director, I studied in Sibelius Academy, which is the music university in Finland. And there I was also connected to the music, even though I didn't have a musical background. And while I worked as a director in Children's Arts Centre in a small town called Hämeenlinna in Finland, I had several different types of productions to do with music. I, for example, organized this festival where all the third graders of the whole town come together and sing Sibelius songs. I loved that production. It was one of my favorites. And while I worked at the Children's Arts Centre, I became more familiar with the fact that actually music is the one art form that touches me most.
Just out of curiosity, did you have a quality performance when you were young?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I had several, but I remember one specific performance that I saw. It's very common to go with a boat from Finland to Sweden and back. And sometimes we don't even go to Sweden, we just go to the boat. And I was at this boat sitting, it was a Sunday and an afternoon, and I was sitting in a cafe with a view to the sea. And the sea was still and the sun was shining. And I was just sitting there. And then I saw that the live band is starting to play behind me on the cafe stage. And they played jazz music. It was like a cinematic instrumental jazz. And I didn't even look at the band. I looked at the sea and just listened and cried. And I hadn't really had that much of experiences in instrumental jazz before that. And I'm a great admirer of instrumental jazz nowadays. So I think that started my love for jazz in general. And I remember the atmosphere. I remember how I felt. I remember the scenery. I remember everything. And I've listened to that band a lot afterwards, and I still do. And I think that's one of the experiences that's marked me.
And can you share how you felt?
How I felt. I felt filled, like warmly filled.
Oh, that's wonderful. So that's maybe also when you realized how effective or powerful music can be in a setting like that.
Yes, that's one of those points. I've seen it happen many times during my career, also as just a person who goes to a concert and listens to it, but as also an organizer of a concert. And that is something that I believe is important for everybody to have the access to experience. I think I was maybe the only one at that jazz concert crying and really feeling it inside me. And some people were just passing by and really not enjoying it. So I think we all have our spots with music, and you need to have experiences to find those spots that really connect to your inner self. And that's why we need to also give these experiences to the kids. If, for example, your parents listen to this type of music, that's not possibly the one that connects to your soul. So we need many times of genres, many times of many different kinds of things to experience to find that kind. And nowadays, I think I'm moved with almost all types of music. So when the connection is formed in the beginning, then it can spread out. And then you can take all different kinds of things in after that.
And for the people who are interested in this specific topic, there's an episode we did actually at YAM in Bruges, so 1.5 years ago, I guess, with Scott Rogers, who spoke about this importance for children, identity forming, and the difference between listening and hearing music.
Yeah.
So I think if you're interested, please check out this episode. And I've said this on the podcast already several times, but when I watch the showcases at the YAM sessions, I always prefer to watch the children because you can see so much from them. And I will never forget the moment that in Bruges as well, the performance finished. I think it was Orkaan. One of the kids ran to the performance and hugged, and then all the kids followed.
I remember that.
Exactly. That resonates with you, watching the children, watching the performance.
Yeah. It's something that drives me in my job. I had international guests a couple of years ago. It was just after COVID, and we organized a concert in a school where they didn't have anything for a couple of years. And we had this group called Fasokan, which was Burkina Faso music with the Finnish and Burkina Faso musicians playing. And we were at the back row, and all the kids were sitting on the floor of the school hall. And then they started playing. And suddenly, I think it was like third song or something, one boy from the front begins to rise from the ground, like moving really African type of movements. And then it was like a magical moment. When he got up, then somebody else from a different side of the audience came up and started dancing. And then the kids started like popping out from the floor and dancing. And I think all the adults were crying at the back row just to see the experience, how it felt for the kids. They felt freed and liberated somehow through music. And I discussed with the principal of that school after this, and they said that, oh, I've never seen this happen before. It must be because they were lacking these experiences for so long, and they really felt that this was an important thing for the kids to experience after COVID times. And I have a huge pile of stories like this, which makes my work, which makes me feel really blessed to have this work where I can go and see this happen quite often. And I'm sometimes hoping that I could just take those cynical and people who feel bad about themselves or bad about the world or angry, somehow to take those people to experience these kind of moments so that they can somehow forget about those details and those things that have happened to them in their lives that make them cynical or aggressive or something, and just experience something that beautiful and meaningful with the kids. And I think those moments are the reason why we do this job.
Live music is a big part of your life right now.
Yeah.
Can you tell a bit more about how that then led you to YAM?
I used to work for a small town in Finland that just to make that towns, children access arts. Because I have this hobby in music, I just ended up working in Centre Finland as an administrational staff, just working with the papers. But since the organization is quite small, I have a possibility to also go and listen to live music quite often during my office hours. And I used to collaborate with Centre Finland as a former art center director in the small town. And when they launched that they have this opening for a director's position, I applied. And then afterwards, they called me to an interview. And after the interview, I remember sitting down at the pavement outside the building, just sending my wishes to the universe, like, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me. This would be perfect for me. And I would be perfect for them as well. And the universe heard me, perhaps, or something happened, and I started working with Konserttikeskus, Centre Finland. And Centre Finland had been part of YAM for ages before I started about 5 years ago. So that's how I ended up with YAM. For choosing the right organization to work for, you can get into YAM.
And then what happened? Because now you're chair of YAM.
Oh, yeah, that's a story. The YAM family just took me in. It was very easy to go into the meetings and to discuss with everybody. And from the first moment, the whole GMI family took me, warmly welcomed me to everything. And I enjoyed myself a lot. We used to have a chair for the YAM Committee called Eppe Hørup from Denmark. He had been doing it for ages, I think in total 13 years or something, to be the chair for the YAM Committee. And then he got sick with cancer. And as he had he was not feeling that well, he asked the committee if I could be the deputy chair for while he's sick. And first he asked me, and I was like, what, why me? And he didn't really explain it, but he just asked, I thought that you would be okay for the job or good for the job. And I was like, of course, he's one of my idols as a person, a lovely person, and very good at his job, both nationally and internationally. So I said yes. And then I didn't have to do that much during the year because he attended all the online meetings, even when he was sick. But then the cancer got worse. And that year, in the summer, in August, he died, which was tough on all of us, of course. And since he had picked me to be the deputy for a year, so it was sort of clear that he picked me to be the next chair for the YAM Committee. So I got the support from all the committee members and from the head office as well. And then they didn't really ask me if I wanted it or not. but that's how I became the chair for the Young Audiences Music Committee. And it's an honor to work in this position after him. And to honor him, we named one of the Young Audiences Music Awards prizes, Eppe Hørup, the best school concert category is named after him. And I think of him quite often meeting the committee because he had a very calm and gentle way of leading the committee. I think my way is a bit different, but since the committee members are so lovely and skillful and innovative and motivated, the job is quite easy for me. They've made it easy for me. The only thing that I, of course, sometimes miss Ebbe, his wisdom and knowledge. He had been doing it for a long time and worked with the field for ages, for decades. So I don't have that. But I know that I have his support, since he was the one picking me for this job. So that has been carrying me during the years that I've been doing the chair's job. I think it's 4 years now.
Who knows, maybe unknowingly he sent to the universe, I want a good successor.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened.
Maybe.
Why did you choose the award for school concert? Was that a special category for him?
Yeah, Ebbe worked as the director of LMS, the school concert provider in Denmark. And he had he was talking about a lot about children's rights and about the effects of a concert experience. And he managed to make LMS bigger in Denmark, and also for them to connect more, to get more kids involved in the program. And they did especially school concerts and took live music performances to schools where the kids are. So that was his thing. And that's why we picked that one.
That's beautiful.
Actually, we didn't have that category before, so it was a new category for us as well.
Maybe before the listeners that actually do not know what YAM is, can you explain a bit about what YAM is and why it's so important?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, YAM comes from the words Young Audiences Music, and the committee members all organize professional, high-quality productions in music that are targeted to young audiences. It varies from country and from member to member how they organize it. Some do it in schools, some do it in theater spaces, some do it for families, some do it for daycare, some do workshops. But the uniting thing is that the professional musicians do the productions, and we are going for excellence in the quality of the productions.
And why do you think it's important that all kids are able to watch a music performance or engage with music in this way?
There's something magical, something that we can't put into words in music and in the connection with music and people of any age. And this is something that has it can change lives. It can lift somebody. It can give comfort. There's so many things that music can do. And kids don't have that much power in society to really decide on themselves of how, or give themselves access to these kind of things. So us adults, we are responsible of giving that opportunity to everybody so that they have the access and the possibility. It's probably, if, for example, there's a concert with 150 kids, if one of those kids will connect to the concert, to the music or to the artist in a way that touches their heart or gives them an idea of what they want to become as an adult, or how they see themselves, or what's the connection to the world, or just forget themselves for the moment and be part of a community for a while. Those things are so valuable that you can't really measure that. I think it's easy for me in my day job in Finland, and also as a chair for the committee, to believe in this. It's not a struggle at all. I totally believe that this is important, and I totally believe that music and high quality music, just listening to it, you don't have to do anything else. Just experience the moment with somebody, with others, to be in the moment is enough for changing the world.
Yeah, after all, it takes one concert, maybe a jazz concert on a ferry, to change the direction of someone's life.
Yeah, exactly.
And looking back here at the joint committee sessions, can you say a few things about how the last year was for YAM?
Last year was special for YAM. the main thing Young Audiences Music Committee does, like the visible thing, is we organized YAM Session, a showcase festival, where we show these quality productions and we talk about them and we discuss about the industry. And this is something that happens yearly, but last year was special because we had this YAM Session in Brazil, in Tatuí, and we haven't done that outside of Europe before. It was the very first time that we did that. And it was special in terms of doing it outside of Europe, but it was special in other ways as well. I think it was quite united, and because we were so far from home, I think there was something special in the mood of the whole festival last year. And I was so happy that I could experience that with my colleagues and with the Brazilian people and with all the musicians that were attending. So it was very, very lovely experience. So that makes last year special. Otherwise, we also, every time we organize the YAM session, it's unique since we changed places and changed countries. This year we're going to go to Bodø, Norway, and everybody is welcome there in September 2024. And we launch the program soon, May, and then you can come with us to experience this year's YAM session. And we do it every year, so if you're not able to do it this year, then just log onto the webpage and see what happens that year. And so every year is special, but last year, I think when we were at the sun, under the Brazilian sun, just all of us drumming all sorts of drums in the yard of Conservatory, I think that was so much fun.
Yeah, it was special. I agree. And if you look back at last year, what was the most challenging part?
Most challenging part. I think the best and the worst come in the same package many times, and in this case as well. So that I think the challenge was that since we organized the YAM session quite far, it was not that accessible for people from those countries that don't have that much funds. But of course, it was more accessible for the ones that live near Brazil. So and this was a very European view. I'm sorry about that.
And looking ahead into the future, what is your hopes for the coming year?
A year is a short time. But in the future, I hope that the YAM Committee has new members. And through those new members, we reach more children and young people. And in the world, more children and young people will have access to quality live music productions. And I hope that this happens step by step, starting this year. And maybe in 5 years, we will have more and more members in the committee, and more people will know what YAM actually is and how they can connect to the things that we do, and how they can use this database, for example, YAM Space that we have, and how they can attend other things that we do. So I think every time that you have something valuable, but only some people know about it, the challenge is to communicate in a way that other people will also find it. Because I'm sure that there's lots and lots of more people who would actually enjoy the YAM Committee things, to enjoy the discussions in YAM sessions, and enjoy seeing those productions, and enjoy organizing those concerts in their own home country or home region. Because that's just wonderful to see the actual connection happening with the kids and music. So my hopes for the future is to grow and to spread the word.
And what is YAM Space? You already mentioned it.
It's a webpage which is created a long time ago, and there's a lot of materials about how to reach out to young audiences. And we are trying to update it soon a bit more and put more materials there. And you can also find us there and find out more about us.
For me, looking at YAM, I always think that one of the big challenges is also the sort of diversity. I know that some of the Scandinavian countries have a sort of, I guess by law, each child has to watch a music concert while at school. And then I know there's other countries that really don't have this or don't have this focus. How do you kind of bridge that difference?
That is true. It is one of our challenges. And I think even though in the committee we have several members that have like basic funding from the state and several who don't have basic funding from anywhere, but we all have like the same core that believe in high quality productions for kids, and that unites us. But I think the challenge is to try to somehow use that material and that knowledge and that everything that we get in the Nordic countries by being state funded, and use that knowledge and package it in a way that you can do it with smaller scale. And you can, if you are just a musician and want to perform for young audiences, what should you know about it? So we are planning to do all sorts of materials also for that in the future, and try to spread the word like that. Because it's true that it's hard for us to go to all the countries and try to make changes in the legislation, for example, or be big players in the cultural policy in all the countries. But we can somehow help with our examples and with supporting each other and trying to figure out together what would be the best thing to do so that we can help those who don't have that much funds.
Do you feel that interest in quality music for children is increasing? Have you kind of witnessed that in different countries?
I've seen signs, but I don't know if it's just my hope for that to happen in different parts. I think the political atmosphere in many countries is not supporting that. But when I discuss with artists, I think the audience of youngsters, audience of kids, is more relevant to the artists nowadays than it used to be. And I think that we have been working for that, and hopefully that will be the direction we will go in the future, so that we get even more people in believing in this and also wanting to support it. And political situations in different countries vary a lot, and the world situation is not easy at the moment. But I think while thinking about wars and all sorts of terrible things happening in the world, you want also to find solutions which can come through empathy and through believing in communities and connections between people. And that's where music also comes into the picture. So I think even though not all of the people understand it yet, we need these connections more than ever. And I think that the meaningful connections between young audiences and music can create something that we need for the future. And I'm hoping that also in the political scene this is noticed, and in the future we will have generations that have had this opportunity while they grow up to experiences in what it feels like to actually belong in a group. Because my Danish colleague, who's now working after Ebbe in LMS as a director, Gitte, she was talking about this, I don't know, this phrase must be wrong, but Selbstverklemmelse or something like this, which means that nowadays when everybody, at least in the Western countries, the children and adults are sort of concentrating on themselves, what they look like in the social media, what do they want to become in the future, what do I feel at the moment. So in these times, it's even more important to have those opportunities where you can actually forget about yourself and just be in the moment, and experience something together. And I think there's something important there that we can try to achieve even more and try to talk about even more. That is also something that we can do with live music performances. So just even though you would be filled with emotions and thoughts about something that happens in the future or solve something that's been puzzling you or something like that, you can also just be.
I really hope that some politician or policymaker was just listening to that part. And is not convinced. What I'm also very amazed about or amazed with is the level of the artists that do the showcases at YAM sessions. Do you see more interest by artists in making specific showcases for children?
We have yearly application calls for artists who can apply to be part of those showcases and awards. And every year we get more applications. So that's one indicator of us getting the word through more. And the quality of the productions is quite good in the applications. So usually we don't have any difficulty in finding great quality productions. The difficulty comes in that we can't take all of them and we need to decide on which ones we want. And we do these decisions based on video material. So it's a hard job to do it. But still, I think, as we were talking here in the joint meeting as well with my committee about that, we still need to spread out more in terms of reaching out to those artists who don't know anything about us yet, but who still do this work or is interested in performing for young audiences in the future. Because sometimes there's like this a moment where somebody realizes that, yeah, I do want to do it for young audiences. Because when you perform for young audiences, the audience is honest and genuine. It's like if you can do it for example, 8th graders who are 14, 15-year-olds, any audience is easy after that. So if you really connect to those kids in the audience, that's valuable for you as a musician, whatever you do after that. So it's also not only in terms of it's important for the kids, it can be very important for the artist as developing as a musician or as a performer in the future to also perform for young audiences.
And do you have any advice for artists that are listening and say, yes, I want to work with kids, like where do they start, or can they use the YAM resources for something like that?
Yeah, they can use the YAM resources. They can go to YAM Space, or they can contact us from the committee, and we are glad to help with this kind of questions. And if they are from a country where we have a member, they can connect to that member. And if we don't, we will still try to help.
So if people want to know more about YAM, where can they find you?
They can find us at the webpage of GMI, and they can find YAM Session at yamsession.org. They can find YAM Space at yamspace.org. And they can find YAM Awards at yamawards.org. They can also find us in some social media, Facebook and Instagram, for example.
Is there something currently you're sending into the universe that you hope will be answered?
I should say something wise and something meaningful, but
it doesn't have to be.
My wishes for the universe are that we as adults would stop and think about how the world seems from children's perspective, how we fill it out with scary stuff, like war and fighting and all sorts of negative stuff. When kids actually need to be seen and need to be noticed as themselves, and their feelings and their hopes for the future have to be seen. I feel many times that we as adults are so busy with our own world and own world questions that we forgot that the most important thing is the children and what they need. And we are the ones that are supposed to give these things to them. They can't do it without us. And it is so important to not forget about this. And making decisions as politicians or as directors or as just parents, we should try to stop and remember when we're doing those decisions, the effects on kids and their best interests.
I think it's a beautiful advice. Look to the world through the eyes of a kid. Beautiful. As always, the last question. What is the power of music?
Even though I knew that's going to come, I wasn't prepared. But I think the power of music is hidden in humanity. We can all feel it, but it's somehow untouchable with words.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe there's no words, but maybe you can see the power of music watching a kid watching a music performance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. If you want more information about JM or you would like to get involved, visit www.jmi.net. At JMI, we are on a mission to make the world more musical. That's why we created Mubazar, a digital platform that helps us manage all our musical activities across 80 countries worldwide, connecting musicians with opportunities to grow both personally and professionally. If you are a music professional looking for a better way to manage and promote your music activities, check out Mubazar. Created for music organizers, by music organizers, Mubazar allows you to run music competitions, workshops, camps, auditions, masterclasses, awards, events, and much more. Mubazar offers custom application forms, payments for your activities, jury tools, translations, analytics, and more. Mubazar is fast becoming the best place for musicians to find and apply for music opportunities online, and you can sign up today for a free organizer account by going to www.mubazar.com, registering, and then requesting to upgrade to an organizer on the right-hand menu. For more info, don't hesitate to get in touch via support@mubazar.com. It would mean a lot to us if you could give us 1 minute of your time and rate and review the podcast. In case you have any suggestions or would like to be one of our next guests, feel free to reach out to us through the JMI socials.